Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome, Gary Spikes, Gene Hudson, and we got Sweet and Low Man, Brian Barber. Let's see who else we got coming in on a Friday evening. We got Rebecca. Nice to have everybody that's starting to come in. Roger Blair. So, yes, Thomas. So everybody's going to be down in the LBL, I think, in April. I think, Thomas, maybe we should go ahead and join them.
I reckon you should.
So go ahead and put it on the calendar. Hello, Melinda Williams. I was just thinking about you once again, especially with, turn up my mic a little bit, especially with your forensic sketches on the Crystal Roger cases. The third person got arrested today. And which is ironic is my former police department arrested him. He was in another state. I was like, wow. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Hello, Judy Greenfield. Welcome, everybody.
Did he leave the state? Like they said he was expedited. So I'm gathering he was in another state.
He was. He was in another state, all right. So when I saw who arrested him, I was like, ooh, there's so many new officers. I don't know them anymore. So, but
It's
yeah.
amazing. It's amazing how many little coincidences there are, though.
Well, Melinda says she's in disbelief. I reached out to her first for I posted it in the group. I'm like, you ain't gonna believe this. I'm like, you better go to your messages. Check this out. So, Kat wants to know if
Brilliant.
there's any men with sports cars here tonight. Whoa, sports car. Vroom, vroom, vroom,
Do
vroom.
I?
Oh, I lost my audio.
Oh, I can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me?
Yeah. A sports car. I'd think I'd go Bugatti.
I can't hear
Morgan.
nothing.
Oh.
Bluetooth connected.
I lost all my audio and everything. Trying to be funny. There we go. Now I can hear myself.
I can hear
I was
you.
like, Rebecca, I'm deaf. I had the volume turned all the way down on my board. So, guess who just popped in?
Hi, Michelle.
Let me turn down my mic. I'm
Good
really hot. I'm hot.
Afternoon.
Yep.
So, welcome. Nice to
Hi,
have you.
Dean.
So, are you going to, yeah, you did drive the truck. So, are you going to participate on Monday's show?
Is that me? Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the parakeet on your shoulder. Yeah, you.
Is that the sassy thingy?
Yes.
No.
I already knew that, but why?
I
didn't
can't
ask, so I'm asking.
say. I can't say.
No, what you rather say is I'd rather not tell. See, there's a difference between rather. See, just say it. I just rather not talk about it. That'll be fine.
I wish there
It's
was a way
okay.
to explain it.
Do you want me to interject?
You don't
Yeah,
have to. I'm already picking up the vibes.
It's not. I'm not that I don't want to participate. It's just that the information that I received when I tuned into there I don't feel I should share.
Well, the information I've got, you know a whole lot more than what you rather say. Right?
Yeah.
It's a tricky situation because, like,
Yeah.
Well, I wonder how many else's is picking up on the same thing she has. That's why I wanted to talk to her.
Well, I don't know if anyone will or not because, we're all different in our gifts and we probably all go in on different levels too. So I was a bit stunned that I picked that. Yeah, I was actually a bit shocked. At first, I was amused that I was actually asked to do this because I said, this is way above my pay grade. Thank you very much. And then I thought, I'll just go and have a listen to it. And then I thought, am I hearing what I'm hearing? And then I went back in again and I thought, holy crap. All right. Okay. Yep. And then
yes, Brian. Brian wants to know the information you got could compromise the Sasquatches or human balances that exist.
Yes.
That's what I wanted her to say, but I didn't want to say that to her. I want her to be on her own recognizance to tell me that. Because I already knew her answer. I just wanted it to be on record.
Yeah, there's definitely a compromise there for those
and that's
involved.
what I'm saying. I want to know how many other people are going to come up with the same thing you have.
I don't know.
There's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to be responsible for that. Because that's important. Like, that's a whole thing. There's a whole thing going on there. Yeah.
Can I interject and kind of?
Yeah, that's why I said Cath.
Ethically,
yeah.
You have the issue of progression in the future for science and humanity and all sorts of things like that. So you have a research side of things, but then if you go openly about it all, and it all comes out, then I find it detrimental. That's all I'll say.
There's also a possibility that there's another element at play as well involved, and I'm worried about their safety also. So that's
and the other thing is I'll try and do it a different way.
And Rebecca, I do deal with animals, but I don't consider this that same type of work. We're talking we're talking interdimensional beings here, and that's different to the work I do with animals on the planet for the planet. So to answer that.
So do you have any problems, Cath?
I got into it, of course. I was so excited.
The question is, do you have any problems?
Yes.
Are you going to be able to answer the questions?
I've done it all. Yeah, no problems there. The problem is if you got cranky with me one day, you might not talk to me again.
I doubt that. But will you have problems doing the show Monday?
No.
Okay.
No, I like it's so interesting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not singling out Michelle. I already knew the answers before she even came on the show. So
you've been reading my mind again. Yeah. Stop reading my mind.
So I wanted her, in her own words, to come forward and say why, because I already contemplated this issue with several people. So just like when you read somebody and you know that something bad's going to happen, or they're not in very good health and they may have a chance to be too close to the veil, you're not going to tell a person you're going to die within a week. Okay. I mean, it's uncouth and it's not professional, right? Some things you see, you will not speak of. And I hate to say that, but I'll speak on behalf of everybody with abilities on that part. And I can, and I will. And the ones that do it are not professional and don't need to be in the field at all. Hello, Mark. We'll be right with you. And be in the field at all, because we actually have a case where somebody told somebody's kid was going to die. And one of their children already passed, I think, a year or two prior. And we have somebody that's actually working with the family right now, trying to change the family's mind and perspective, because now they're at the far end of the spectrum of terrorizing, being not able to sleep at night to watch over this child. So it goes in a whole nother realm. But, people don't think about questions, right? And when those questions were formed for the people with abilities, I already knew the consequences going in, because I knew some people probably would or would not come back and say, I know what they are, but I don't think humanity is ready for me to speak it on my behalf. So it's no big deal.
It's tricky, because some of it is fairly okay, and I don't see any harm. But the other things I can't, because I don't want to be blocked from communication, like
that. I don't think will happen. One is a lot of things that people that are having probably ethical concerns or moral concerns. Let's call them moral. Moral reality is they don't want to be a chain in the event something does come and they take the information around with it. But the information's already out there. So these questions already been asked and answered, but they all been theories. So now what we're doing is we're taking your all's abilities and what you all get and testing those theories to see if any of those theories are accurate or truthful in some form or fashion. So Brian Barber, I can basically transcribe Ron Sierra sounds, can be frightening depending on what was said. Well, not only that, we also have a list of questions, Brian Barber, remember, that went to the panel. So I already saw these unfolding before the panel even got the questions. Cath just got hers today, so.
Yeah, I'm a bit spun, actually.
They were there all week.
And
I'm getting messages like, Cath doesn't have the questions. I'm like, oh, no, yes, she does.
No, I didn't. I only just got them this morning because
they were in the chat the whole time.
Yeah, I know, but I only saw the talkie one. I didn't see the
You didn't
Sierra.
scroll farther up.
No,
I know.
I know.
That's why I
was,
said when you comment, yes, I'm in, it's above that.
yeah,
So-
see, I was yeah.
I
Anyway,
know.
but I was so excited. I've been excited all week, you know, like I can't wait. But then this morning, because I did
Let's
a whole
go ahead
heap
and
of,
bring Mark in. Mark, we
Yeah.
got you. You're live now. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mark.
Oh, hello,
Hi, Mark.
everyone. This is Mark
Everybody-
from California.
welcome
so it's
aboard.
6:15 there. Welcome, Mark. Nice to have you. So, ladies and gentlemen, he's having problems with his camera, but we're going to go live with the audio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I do have a question. How is my volume setting at your end?
Perfect.
Pretty good on
Good.
my end. Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Well, every time I try to click on anything, it cuts me out of the room, and I have to re-log in. So I guess it's going to be microphone only tonight.
Not a
that's
problem.
okay.
We got you.
Yes. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mark?
Yeah. So I'm in my mid-50s, live in California, and in 2019, I bought a subscription to YouTube so I could watch Karate Kid, and then I discovered Dutch Since, who's an earthquake forecaster, and watched him, and then he put out how to forecast earthquakes. And so I got into it, and right away had a few successes. I thought, well, this is actually rather easy. At that time, it was. This year has not been an easy year for quakes or forecasting. And then I got involved with Earthquakes Down Under in Facebook group, which is a brilliant name because earthquakes are in fact underground. And it was started by a gentleman with the name David, and he lives in Australia. So it's really a great name. And so I've been there ever since and still forecasting away. I've had a few big successes along with a bunch of misses, but we're very much a new science as weather people were, weather forecasters. And even today, weather forecasters are not 100% accurate. So earthquakes, if you put it side by side with them, we're not 100% accurate either. I would say maybe 20, just my guess. And the other thing I just wanted to put out there is that the scientific instruments of seismographs are really relatively new. Electric seismographs have only been around since around late 30s, early 40s, and have been improved upon quite a bit since then. Before that, they had mechanical devices. And if you go and that started around mid 1800s. And then if you go further back, the Chinese had some interesting pendulum style instruments to determine the direction of where the quake occurred, but not the strength. So the science is new, and we only have about 100 good years of data to fall back on and try to use that to figure out what's going to happen next. So that's a kind of a quick, brief background.
Interesting.
And if you want, I can tell you why I got into earthquake forecasting.
Yeah, please.
So I'm a remodeling carpenter here in California, big earthquake area. I live 1 hour, my wife and I live 1 hour north of San Francisco. And we're about 20 miles from the San Andreas Fault. And I've done several seismic retrofits of residential homes. And what that means is they're older homes where the house itself is not securely attached to the concrete foundation. So it takes about a week. You crawl around under there. You put some bolts in and drill holes, put bolts in and all that, and get it all hooked up. Add some plywood down low underneath the house. If you have a little, they call it a short wall or a stem wall. It's a wall that comes up from the concrete up anywhere from inches to feet. And then after that, you lay your floor joists on top of that. Well, those stem walls or short walls, the code has been, if they're under 12 inches, you don't need to put plywood on them to secure them. Otherwise, it can topple over. Well, in 2016, August 2016, in the city of Napa, which is about 50 miles from Santa Rosa, they had a quake, 6.1, hit almost downtown, and many houses toppled over, and some of them had walls that were only 4 inches tall, little short walls or stem walls, just
Interesting. Yeah.
4 inches. And so with all of that and learning all that and then going through an earthquake, I felt that earthquake, actually. I woke up, and at the time, I was working for my dad, who's since retired, and my house made this really weird sound. It was kind of this
Yikes.
and so it just happened that a week later, our engineer was at one of our dinner meetings, and who does all the engineering for our projects. And I asked him, what was that squeaking sound? And he said, well, your house has shear wall on it. So you have standard 2x4 wood framing. And on the outside, they place plywood, and then you nail that on. And he said the nails were coming in and out and going back in and back out of the wood. And he said, and this blew me away, he said that sound of the nails coming in and out, when you pull a nail out, if you ever pulled a nail out with a hammer, it's hot. The nail can get really hot. Well, he said your whole house was doing that, and that was dissipating energy, which is something to ponder. Heat, if you take that stress to the house and you transform it to heat, you have now dissipated the energy and your house will be fine. So all these things over the years made me very curious about why are we building the way we are, and how can we do it better, and where can we improve upon it? And so that's kind of was my thinking. And then I heard about earthquake forecasting. I thought, well, that's kind of cool, because if you could forecast a quake and have a window of time when it might happen and where, then people could do things like put a rubber band or some string around their upper cabinet doors so that all of your dishes don't come sliding out, break, damage your countertops, and then are all over the floor for you to clean up. And I learned about that from talking to friends from the 1989 Loma Prieta quake, also known as the World Series quake. And that shook San Francisco, and people saw the Bay Bridge collapse, partially collapsed. And one of the ladies told me, there's actually two different women happened to be home at different houses, and they both have PTSD when they hear a glass break. Because they said it went on for about 3 to 5 minutes. Dishes and glasses coming out of the upper cabinets and smashing and breaking on their countertops below. So that's just kind of my interesting background at it. What got me into it? Why was I thinking about it? And so here I am.
That's interesting.
It is very interesting. And Mark is being a tad, I can't think today, I'm sorry. He's very, 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 very good at what he does. He's also had paranormal experiences, I believe, Mark?
Yeah, I studied with a spiritual teacher, kind of a Tibetan Buddhist, crazy wisdom, Mahayana a sect, which is the more liberal side of it. And they weren't really strict. Like I forget the name of the other side of the teaching. So we were Mahayana, and he was a great telepath, and we had both. What were the two types? Emotional telepathy, which is where you get a feeling of something good or bad or something like that. And then we've also had some technical telepathy. Not quite to this level, but technical telepathy can be done by a few thousand people on the planet. And that's where you're able to perhaps think of somebody and think of a phone number, and they'll know to go dial that phone number right then. And it's really draining on our little human brains.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And he taught me a lot of great stuff. And
Sorry.
Oh, that was it. And I've had attacks by ghosts. I've been in a few demon fights. I guess you call it a demon. And they weren't attacking me. I was defending other people. And when you don't, if you're not 100% successful, you're usually exhausted for months afterwards.
Yeah. One of our people on the shows lives in Japan, and she speaks all the time of all these things going on, entity-wise. But my understanding, there's 3 belts that cross in Japan on the earthquake. I'm saying the wrong terminology, sorry.
Yeah, no, belts. Yeah, energy belts.
Yeah.
Energy lines, ley lines, or stuff like that.
Yeah, so Japan's in like a full-on 3-way crisscross on one of the major nodes, do you call them?
You could call it a node. There are 3 fault lines that run through Japan.
Fault lines, that's what I was after, sorry.
Okay.
Because I always wondered, was because she has so much action over there, is that why they have so much of the entity business going on all the time?
Oh, that's interesting. I've never thought of it that way.
Because of it, all the energy and different openings and closings and all the shaky and all of that. I've heard where there are major crosses like that there's a lot of action as far as upstairs and downstairs goes. Mm-hmm. But there's a question there for you, I think. I can only see some of them.
From Anthony Lewis?
Yeah.
The one before?
Yeah. Oh, you can't see it.
Wondering, come across a map that showed massive earthquakes that would cause USA to break into 2 parts, where Pacific and Atlantic Ocean will meet in the middle of the U.S. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very possible. The Earth has drastically changed over the many billions of years we've been here, or Earth has been here. And I fully expect that it's not going to look anything the same in, hundreds of millions of years from now. It's just going to slowly move along and crush into each other, plate versus plate. Sometimes they'll crumble, sometimes they'll push up and create a new mountain range. And then sometimes you have subductions where one plate goes underneath the other, and then you have a whole flurry of volcanic activity on the plate on top. The volcanoes, they poof. There's 2 types of volcanoes. There's ones that poof, explode, and then the other one's blub, which is they ooze, blub. And there's a volcano in what's it, PNG, that I forget the name of the country now, called Blub volcano. It's an actual volcano.
Really?
Yeah. Hawaii would be a blub volcano. It just oozes.
Mount St. Helens is the explode one?
Yeah, that's the one that goes poof.
Right, or puff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just call it
just
puff.
like Cath.
Puff and pop.
That one went poof out the side.
Yeah, it'll do the side. Yeah.
Yeah, it went through the side. It exploded out through the side.
Yeah.
I actually visited that a few years after it had happened. And the devastation was still like beyond belief, that trees were like matchsticks on the ground, just completely blown over. It's quite amazing to see the aftermath. And they had a little talk thing up there at the top that Annie talked about the day and what happened and everything. It was very enlightening. It's like, wow. I'm glad we don't have volcanoes in Australia. Well, we do. They're extinct. So we hope. Yeah.
Yeah, they can always pop up. But we're lucky too. We don't have big major earthquakes here. Like we've had a couple, but nothing compared to other countries. Like Very
Oh.
lucky.
Yeah.
Well,
The
you're
big
very
quake-
close to a fault line there.
Yes.
You are, Catherine.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Catherine, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And probably you. I don't know where you are. But I
I'm
don't know
in
about
trouble,
where else.
Brizzy.
He's in California,
California.
West
yeah.
Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
but
50
yeah,
miles
there's a
north of San Francisco.
Oh boy.
fault line
Yeah,
that
right.
comes up through past where you are, Cath.
Up near Yarrowitch.
No, just out at Rocky. Just out where I used to be. There in that cottage.
That explains all our rumbly bumblies.
Yeah, no, it comes up from
Rumbly
the north.
bumblies. We got a new word, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And rumbly bumblies.
Yeah.
How's your house going? Are you rumbly blumbling? You'll get used to us, Mark. We have a difference in language that often gets us almost in craters.
In the ditch.
Craters.
Ditch.
Yeah.
I know when I did science at school many long time ago, we had a book, textbook was called the Messels textbook. It's light blue. And in that, it's got all the original maps of all the volcanic and earthquake ranges that that we used to have. We still have. But it's one of the only maps I've ever found that has it. I've kept that book. Weighs a ton.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the old books are heavy and very thorough.
Yes, I love my Messels book. But when you're going to do your houses and that, do you like pick up much ghosty energies?
I've been in haunted houses, and only one time have I been, I guess, attacked by a ghost. And I can tell you that story. It's kind of a fun story. I've always wanted to see ghosts. I have never seen a ghost.
Because being attacked by ghosts is always fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yippee-yi-yi.
Well,
Ta.
I can tell you the story of when I was attacked by a ghost. It's kind of interesting.
Put my leg up.
It was right near the Russian River, which is near where I live. And the story of the house was there was a new couple bought it 20 years ago. And they said that a lady had committed suicide in the house and hung herself. And that every so often they would have parties. They liked to have parties at their house. They were both nurses. And people would say, "Who's the lady at the end of the hallway in the pink nightgown?" People would see, I know. The house was packed, music going, and they would see the ghost. And so we were doing a big remodel, and I've heard that spirits or ghosts do not like people messing with their house.
No, they do not.
Correct. Grizzy
So-
has terrible things go on in his house. We'll tell you about that later.
Okay. So what happened with me was we did the full demo, ripped it apart, put it all back together, made it really beautiful. And the couple, they were heavy set people, and they wanted this extra large tub. But it wasn't porcelain. It was made of plastic. And we knew that plastic tubs, when you put a lot of weight in them, can squeak. And every time you're taking a shower, the thing go, ee, 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 and it's just annoying as all get out. So we knew exactly what to do. We took every precaution. We put this thing in, got it set, and finished the bathroom. And 2 weeks later, they called my dad and said, "The thing is squeaking." So here's where the ghost comes into it.
I thought the legs were going to be bent.
Yeah. No, this was regular. This is not an old fashioned tub. Yeah, a more modern tub. So I had to crawl underneath the house and go in there with a bunch of shims and a hammer and some glue, and I was going to tap shims underneath the tub because I knew there's room there to get to between the floor and the tub. So I'm under there. I crawl under there, and I've done seismic retrofits on houses. I've been under houses for a week at a time. It doesn't scare me one bit. And all of a sudden, I'm laying there, and a panic came over me. And I thought, oh my God, there's going to be an earthquake right now. And since the house is built on sand, it's going to fall over and smash me like a bug. And I dropped all my tools and scurried at full speed out from underneath the house. So my dad and the plumber were outside. It was noon on a clear, warm, sunny day. And I came out of there in an absolute panic. I could not believe it. And after about 20 minutes, I gained my composure. I went back under, finished the job. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I said, well, hot dog, I know what it was. That had to have been attack from the ghost. She got into my head and scared me, put a panic in my head. It's the only explanation. Because, and also, here's a little bit going back a few years. I was doing my sister's home, doing a seismic retrofit on it in Oakland, the Oakland Hills, and 2 earthquakes struck while I was under her house. 2 4.3s. She actually screamed. She was in the room above me. I was underneath the house. She was screaming, oh my God, earthquake, earthquake. And I started laughing and yelled out, testing the retrofit. So it did not scare me. So why on this one day did this one house, which had a ghost in it that people had seen, why did it attack me or do what it did to me?
Maybe it was warning you to get cracking.
Yeah. And why did I fall subject to something like the house was going to fall over and land on me, which I knew couldn't happen.
Yeah, I was just saying that would be scarier to me being under a house in the middle of an earthquake than a ghost. Yeah. However, yeah, I get what you're saying, that because I can actually, when you were telling the story, I could actually feel the panic that you actually experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it actually did get into your psyche, which is interesting. A very clever ghost, that one.
Yeah,
and that's the one in the pink nightie.
Pink nightgown.
Not a negligee or anything like that.
That's what I was told.
Well, like if you got.
Was she wearing a teddy too?
Well, it depends what's coming for you, doesn't it?
Who's trying to put us in the ditch again?
No.
There's a question for you. Do ghosts wear high heels?
Depends on who's. Never mind.
If they want to, they can.
So that was just one of those very interesting things, and that happened to me in one of my travels.
So Anthony Lewis article: scientists drill into San Andreas fault. They put foam into the fault to slow down or stop earthquakes from happening. So evidently found an article. I didn't know they did that. Did you, Mark?
I do know they've drilled on it to study it in a few locations.
Right.
There isn't enough foam or enough concrete on the entire planet to stop the fault. It cracks, granite in half by hundreds of feet in size as it slowly inches along.
Well, the thing is, why would you? If you start playing with that there, it's got to pop out somewhere else. So you're actually only transferring the energy. You're not actually slowing the energy down. You're actually just transferring it somewhere else. That's the law of physics.
So you're correct. So the population of the world, I forgot what the totality of the numbers are, but they're so massive, it's causing the Earth to wobble on its axis. And that's been proven scientifically. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So also when China built that dam, somebody has to Google it, the biggest dam in the world.
Yes.
It also caused attributes of the earth to change because the amount of water that it withheld. And it was just, I was just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
So it was very fascinating to hear scientists talk about stuff like that. So when Mark speaks to stuff like this, I can see it.
3 or 4 years ago, I had to take my car to the mechanic, as you do, and the mechanics were right on the ball on this one, and apparently they had to change all the GPS settings and everything because of that tilt. It mucked up all their equipment, all the computer equipment.
Wow. What?
Brian, do you know they revealed the Vicky Hush Hush models are men? What the hell's a Hush Hush model? Mark knows, he's laughing.
I have no idea.
Oh,
my
I thought you
imagination
knew.
is fully running.
Same. Hush, hush.
I'm not
Hush,
Googling
hush
that.
models.
I'm afraid to see what's going to happen.
Oh, no, I better not.
Yeah, last time I Googled something Mark live, oh, my Lord, I was embarrassed. I misspelled a word.
They're not all men. There might be a couple in there, but they're not all men.
But where did that comment come from?
I don't know. People are trying to put us in the ditch. I'm telling you now.
Oh, right.
Ever since Mark talked about his ghost wearing a necklace or necklace, Lord have
Nightgown,
mercy.
just a nightgown.
See, it's much
a
better if
nightgown.
something-
And he got me saying Teddy Cat.
That's because we're teddies. Okay. We're not in the ditch. We're teddy bears, everybody.
So you would think that with that type of, like, it's like a cricket ball, and if they don't keep polishing that and it gets dirt or mud on it, it's not going to spin correctly. It's not going to go true. So
Who
why
the hell
wouldn't they?
plays cricket?
The Poms do, and the Australians do, and
We
the Indians do.
Stingray, we're going to go together and we're going to play cricket, mate. Would you like to have a cup of tea?
No,
or
it's- I'm just saying about the severe, like the ball. Like, so why, like, big projects like that should actually be monitored to stop them unbalancing things.
You would think so.
Yeah.
They should. We would be better
They
off
don't
with
think ahead.
many smaller dams. Even New York City is sinking because of the weight of the skyscrapers.
That is correct.
Yeah, and Manhattan is set on, is it the Manhattan Rock? There's a rock that they anchor their skyscrapers to.
Oh, yes. I know what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about. I think you may be right. I have to Google that. It's been so long.
Yeah, some cities you can't build tall buildings. Like where I live in Santa Rosa, we live on the Santa Rosa Plain, or that's where the city is located, and it's 300 feet deep of alluvial soil that's dried out. It's basically an old marsh, and so you can't build a building here taller than 10 stories. And no one wants to go 300 feet through mush to get to the rock. There's rock underneath us, but no one wants to spend that type of money. And even in San Francisco, if you've heard of the Millennium Tower, the Leaning Tower of San Francisco.
No, I have not.
Oh, yeah. The Millennium Tower, they finished it about 10 years ago. And
Wow.
they were just far enough away from the downtown skyscrapers section of San Francisco, where all the buildings are anchored to the Frisco Rock, where they were, and a lot of them are just, it's 20 feet down and you hit that rock. So the skyscrapers were easy to anchor. They built the Millennium Tower, and it was 300 feet deep of mush and marsh and bay water and all that. So they decided to use these things that look like cones pushed into the ground. And the idea was each time if you put they put like 75 cones, and they were 75 feet tall or long, and I forget how wide. And you put those there, and then you build your building on top of it. And what happens is, as the pressure of the weight of the building pushes down, the cones are pushing the mud left and right, and they anchor. They just stop. The pressures. It's called a pressure tension foundation. Well, after a few years of it being built, the neighbors started noticing, like when they're playing with their dogs. It's by the way, this skyscraper is not for business. It's for very wealthy people to live in. And so people would be playing with their pets, their dogs, like a tennis ball. And they noticed the tennis balls, when they just set them on the floor, would go zooming over to one side.
Ugh.
And so it's leaning 37 inches over 50 stories. So it's like 400 feet tall or 500 feet tall and leaning about, 37 inches to one side. And The lawyers are making a killing off of this situation. Making really good money because there's lawsuits being passed around like, party favors.
Wow.
We've got
That'll be a bit of a
building.
shock, though. Big shock.
I know. I'm keeping an eye on our mate down here. Don't worry, Mark. We're not laughing at anything you're saying. There's these. They keep trying to get us into the ditch. We've got a building here in the town, not far from me. It's a big shopping centre thing. You go in there, and the whole building moves the whole time. But if I know this sounds terrible, all the pipes in that leak. Never, Rebecca. All the pipes leak. So if you park your car underneath a specific pipe and you would like a new windscreen or a new Juco on your car, you just park the car underneath the pipe. You run upstairs after you've done your shopping and come back and find your car wrecked. And within hours, you'll have a new windscreen. They do it all the time. It's just one of those things. Like you're talking about this building, that goes from side to side. That's like this building they've built. It's forever leaking. I don't know how they get any insurance on it. But I've had a new windscreen. I was very grateful for that.
Wow. So in the parking lot, the structure shifts around and starts crumbling pieces of concrete?
No, some little bits drop down every now and again if you watch it. Like I hate going there. I don't park there anymore.
Yeah, I would avoid that building, actually.
Yeah, I was happy that I got the windscreen and then I didn't park there after that. But they've got these big pipes underneath, like that would be underneath the flooring of the shopping centre. And then they've got the car park underneath. Yeah. And then just lost my head then. It drops this white gunky stuff. Michelle.
Oh.
And then it's some sort of acid, and it just goes. Yep.
It could be. Oh, I don't see.
I'm sorry, Mark. You don't see the comments, and they're naughty. They're naughty comments. You're probably better off not seeing them.
I see them rolling by, but. I can see him rolling by here.
Oh, because I can't see
Stingray is got me rapping Stingray.
Yeah, we should start making jingles. Oh dear, hang on, delete.
Lost custody of this feed. Oh no!
See what I deal with.
I see the latest one.
Yeah, I mean, this
and we're standing. He usually gets us out. No, you can still play Stingray. We like playing with you. So I'm trying to get out of the ditch.
What were we talking about?
Buildings,
buildings and pipes. And what is a sunscreen?
What sunscreen?
Or windscreen?
The windscreen.
The front of the car.
The windshield?
Through.
Yeah.
Oh,
windshield.
Yeah. Sorry.
We all speak English, but not exactly the same English.
Well, Mark, did she ask you if you ever wore thongs?
No.
Yeah. What?
Thank you.
We're not that familiar.
That's exactly how I felt when they asked me over a year ago on the show. I about had a meltdown.
What was the question?
Do you wear thongs?
Thongs. Oh, yes. Not yes to thongs, but thongs are the flip-flops. Some people.
Oh my God! You had me worried for a minute.
Well, in my neck of the woods,
I did not expect that answer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, in my neck of the woods, we call a thong, underwear garment, dental floss.
Dental floss.
Oh my Lord. Okay. Well, yeah, I've heard of that, but when they, never mind. I give up.
Yeah.
But when they first asked me, I did not know they were flip flops.
Oh.
Yeah. We didn't
and I about came unglued because they're laughing at me. I'm like, what the hell is so funny? Why would you ask somebody like that on a show?
And we just carried on the conversation thinking nothing of it. And we just kept putting ourselves further and further in the canyons.
What do you mean? Don't ask for a napkin in the UK? Nah, don't answer that, you guys. Don't even answer that. I have no idea.
That is funny.
So
I took a class in San Francisco at Golden Gate University, and it was about 40% Americans, and then everyone else were foreigners. And we had to be really careful what we would say because they not to be rude, but they would not understand us.
that's right.
And so I don't know if you guys will know this. If you remember a cartoon from the 1970s or 60s for children's cartoon, I said, yeah, we had this topic. And I said, yeah, well, it's kind of like the Mr. Magoo syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the guys says, who is Mr. Magoo? And Mr. Magoo is the old man that has really thick glasses and is still blind. And he just walks across the street and all sorts of stuff happens around him. And he's oblivious to it. So this is called the Mr. Magoo syndrome. You do something and you have no idea the wrecks and stuff behind you.
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember when we were in Texas, we were in one of those big feed places that I couldn't get over. Like everyone had 40 drumsticks on their plates. You know, I've never seen anyone eat so much. But we were after we call it coleslaw. And in Texas, they were saying, coleslaw? You know, like we're going, yeah, like coleslaw. And they, what? You know, because yours is slaw. Is that right?
Coleslaw.
Yeah, cold slaw.
Yeah.
Or
well,
you
Texas,
sometimes drop the D, just coleslaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop the D. Coleslaw.
Yeah, that's the same as us. They couldn't understand us down there. Funny that.
Wow.
I was only 12 then. You can just imagine my linguistics were just beginning.
So Rebecca, the Yank tanks. So was it at the end of World War II? The Yanks decided to come in to Australia, or come into the war with the tanks, and we called them Yankees, Yank tanks. That's where that came from.
Oh, I was thinking of Lola.
Of what? What?
When she gave us a proper definition of a tattoo.
Yeah.
That's the first thing come to my mind when somebody said yank tank. I can see her explaining that scientifically.
I reckon she'd have trouble with that one. Poor Lola. She's been working hard on a new course.
Yeah. Well, Americans are called, it's particularly around World War II and after, Yanks.
That's
Yanks.
why I was pretty mean last week. I apologize, everybody. I shouldn't have said what I said. One of the things I said.
I don't remember.
About Yank tanks.
Yeah.
Tanks.
Wherever there's a
Ta?
Ta.
Which is gracias.
Northern junk. It's not the name of Northern junk. I've seen no evidence that your tanks are bigger than anyone else's. So,
junk. Yeah. Standing.
I have so many questions.
Where do you reckon the next big hit's going to be?
Anthony, that's all. What? It's not a ditch. It's a gully, not a ditch. We come out the other side.
Standing. Mark, where
Yeah?
do you reckon the next hit's going to be?
Oh,
Large
earthquakes?
Earthquake one.
So-
Yep, I've got to get us out of this.
I enjoy earthquake forecasting, the medium-sized ones. When I start seeing big stuff, I feel sad because, it's I can see it coming in.
Yeah.
So I put a post up about a week ago, five days ago, maybe 6 days ago, on earthquakes down under. And it's because I see San Diego getting hit with a big quake sometime between, let's say Monday, a few days back, and then as late as just after Christmas, maybe the 26th of December.
That was going to be my
And-
next question. Like what sort of time frame are you looking at once you decide that there's going to be a quake?
Well, what we do is like weathermen, weather people, is we look at incoming energy. Quakes that are, there's kind of a flow to quakes. They generally don't just randomly go north south north south. They mostly kind of circle around the globe. And I've been watching northern Mexico, specifically the Baja California and the Pacific side. And and that was a year ago. It led me to make a forecast because of this activity going on. I said, oh, there's going to be a big quake, and it's going to be within 100 miles of a town called Ensenada. And it came in at a 6.2 and was the largest quake Baja California has ever had. And there's other big quakes, other 6.0s were going off in the area, and people kept congratulating me. And I said, no, that's not the energy I'm looking for. I'm looking for different energy. And so I stuck to my guns, as they say. I stuck to my principles of science and said, those aren't ones I forecasted. I'm looking for this one. And it came in at 6.2. So we just had a quake 7 days ago on Hawaii, a 5.0, which normally would not catch my attention. And the reason why it caught my attention was I was looking at the right there at the Mariana Trench, the Moab Island region. They had a whole series of quakes, including a 7, that went on in this one area for a week or two, just pounding away. And then they stopped. And then the Philippines took off.
Yeah,
and they
boy,
have
did it take off.
Yeah, and it's still rocking and rolling with these quakes, and including a 7.6, I think.
Mark,
And so,
sorry, you go.
when I saw that second activity happen, I said, "Wow, okay, I'm going to watch to see if this energy moves along, or is it going to stay in the same location?" And within 24 or 36 hours, there was 3 5.0 quakes that went off. One in Japan, Okinawa area, or Taiwan, I think. One south in the Solomon Islands area, and another 5 hit Hawaii. And I said, there it is. The energy just spread. And I look at maps a lot. And so the bottom of the oceans have these large cracks in them, or mountain ranges. Some are cracks, some are come up as mountain ranges. And in the Pacific, there's a 2 sets of mountains deep, at the very bottom of the ocean, that pretty much kind of run from Hawaii all the way over to Mexico, Ensenada, and all the way up to the Catalina Island area, which is offshore of LA, also known as the, I always forget the name of it. Well, Catalina's island's one of them. That's where I was looking. And so I looked at it and I said, well, what happened last year that brought the quake over to Ensenada, I think the same thing's going to happen this time, but there's more power behind it, a whole lot more power. And so I think it's going to come in and either hit Catalina Island, Channel Islands, that's the word, the whole line of islands there called the Channel Islands. Either hit near Catalina Island or hit San Diego square on. And it could be as big as an 8. They don't really happen any bigger in California than an 8. Probably, a low 7 would be pretty reasonable.
You know how you have wherever the location is of the quake, usually you have, for every action there's a reaction. Where they're pumping it in the Philippines, where is the tail end of that reaction? Where is the tail end of that action? You know how if something hits somewhere and the pressure usually goes bang somewhere in the opposite
Mhm.
direction. Would Mexico be the opposite to the Philippines, like the other the tail end?
Actually, not. No, there's just so many big quakes near the Mariana Trench Islands. I think they were the Moab Islands, and then the Philippines. So we had these two hot spots go off, and so in that case, you get ripples like a rock hitting a calm lake. It spreads out in all directions. Normally, quakes are moving, and so the general flow would be from both areas where those quakes went off, the Moab and the Philippines, is they generally travel north towards Japan. And then they reach Japan, they keep coming up and around through Alaska, all the way down. If they make the U-turn in Alaska, right there near Anchorage,
Yeah.
it has to make a U-turn. And most of the quakes just go out into the middle of Alaska and just end. It's just they end out there.
Oh,
Some of
okay.
them will keep following the plate boundary and then head down the coast, all the way down to this is where I differ with Dutch Since. They come down, they end at the California-Mexican border, an area called the Salton Sea, which is just a lake. And that's, I think they end there, both directions. And then I also think there's quake energy that comes up from the Gulf of California heading upwards, and it also pretty much ends at the Salton Sea. And very rarely, occasionally, one will make it further north.
Uh-huh.
And very occasionally, the energy coming southbound down the San Andreas Fault, which is also the.
Okay.
So Anthony Lewis has got a question. Do you think the atom smasher, aka collider, is the reason why we keep having these earthquakes?
Yep. Can you guys see me?
No.
No, we still can't see you. It's really weird.
Are you still there,
So
Mark?
was that a yes? Was that a yes to that question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
The
we
screen,
didn't get
the whole
that.
screen went black. The whole screen went black.
Oh, sorry.
I was asking, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so it did die on us for a second, or lose transmission.
It was fine here. I think it
Okay.
does, but I was interested to hear
And
what
another
you
question: do you think the sun activity plays into earthquakes too?
Yes, it's the electric and or magnetic universe. And electricity and magnetism are two sides of the coin, really. So when the sun explodes, coronal mass ejections, also known as a CME, it'll fly out, and they're often, 4, 5, 10 times the size of our planet. And there's a lot of material there, and it goes out, and it takes about 1 million miles an hour, so 93 hours to get here. Sometimes at 600,000 miles an hour, so it's a little bit longer, maybe 128 hours to get here. And then when if it's aimed at the Earth, which is a whole mystery in itself, I won't get into right now, but when it's aimed at the Earth and it actually brushes over our planet, it's kind of like taking a balloon and rubbing it in your hair or on the carpet on the floor. It gets energized, and so our planet gets energized.
And then,
static electricity.
Yep.
Yeah.
and then when we have certain lineups with the different planets, that seems to cause action as well. You get the full moon, then you get a lineup of certain planets. It seems to affect it as well. Like king tides and things like that with the moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, King's. I don't do, and I don't think there's really a lot of validity in it, generally speaking. But tidal earthquakes, that based on the tides, you have earthquakes. However, I did see and pointed out that we had a big swarm of 6.0s hit the dreaded Wanda Fuca fracture zone. It's a kind of a little plate offshore. It kind of spans between Canada and all the way down here to Northern California. And a bunch of sixes went off. I actually posted up on one of the seismic websites, the official, I won't use the word, G websites.
Oh, well done.
And said it is what words I use? Something like it's a terrible idea to not warn people. It's a risk that they should have said, hey, and which is what I thought was going to happen. I thought there's a high likelihood that we could have that terrible rupture, this is called the Cascadia rupture, and we have a 300-foot tsunami, if not higher, head straight into the coastline, and people would only have maybe 20 minutes of warning.
We get 12 hours.
Oh, if you have a big quake nearby?
No, if you have a wave apparently in California on the coast there, it'll take 12. That's a large one. It'll take 12 hours to get to us.
Yeah. So you have time. Yeah.
It's not long.
Yeah. Well, no, just 20 minutes is really not long.
20 minutes.
Yeah, but it's going to rupture.
Getting out the scotch, I think.
Yeah, just 50 miles off the coast. Yeah, get the scotch out. Yeah.
You might as well enjoy yourself.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
It's not like the floaties are going to get you up there,
you only need to get inland from that. It's going to happen. All the scientists, everyone sees it's going to happen. We don't know when.
And all you want me to go and live on the coast. Thanks, gang.
So, Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. What do you think, Mark, about the ground earthquakes are above the ground?
Well, I'm sorry. Okay. Earthquakes above the ground.
Yes.
Some people call those skyquakes. Is that what you're referring to?
I think he is.
Yeah. I've heard of them. I haven't really studied them, but I've thought a little bit about them. And I've always thought, well, it's some sort of electrical magnetic disturbance that changes the pressure of the atmosphere. And as the pressure of the atmosphere goes up and down, it's kind of like when you have one window rolled down the back of your car, you hear that pump, 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 and feel it all through the car. I think that's what a skyquake is, something like that. It's just the best scientific idea.
Right.
Yeah. But just skyquake. And there may be something else to it. Well, the other thing too is you look at jet planes, particularly the military fighter jets, when they break the sound barrier, and they don't do it as much as they used to do it back in the 1960s. The concussion wave was so powerful, it would shatter windows in houses.
Yes.
And that's from one little jet plane. Yes, interesting. So that would also make me think about skyquakes, something along those lines.
And oh no, that's a stupid question. I was going to ask a stupid question. No, don't worry about it.
Okay.
I tried to say it, and then I realized, no, it won't come out right.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the pressure in animals that, like all the animals know prior to a quake coming, like a couple of days from what I can gather. And I was just wondering if it was like a feeling thing or something else other than vibratory that they sense more quickly than we do. Like I know they're a lot more in tune than us, but they seem to know a few days earlier.
I think it's atmospheric pressure, the drop in atmospheric pressure that they actually can detect.
Oh.
So
yeah, I agree.
I have a friend who has an acquired brain injury, and he's basically a walking barometer. So he basically, as soon as there's a change in the atmospheric pressure at all, he gets stabbed in the head, like energetically wise. So he always knows when there's rain about to hit or storms coming. The animals can sense it too. They'll start to behave erratically. I've had static electricity in the horses' tails up to 2 days before a storm hits.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, nothing on the radar, nothing reported, but the horses have got that much static electricity in their tails, something's coming, and it always does. But yeah.
Do they start playing up or not?
Depends on the type of storm it is. So if you've got one with a lot of electricity, a lot of wind, that type of thing, they can get pretty head up. Like last night, we had a major storm about to hit us. I could feel it, but I wasn't sure because it was swirling. I wasn't sure. And my horse, I was still out feeding on the farm. And all of a sudden, he stopped and he spun and he looked at me with big wide eyes. And I went, okay, I'm coming. I'm hurrying. And I quickly got him sorted, got inside, and it hit and it blew the trees. I thought we were going to have trees on top of the house. It was that severe.
Wow.
And there was no warning for that. But he knew. He instantly knew. His whole demeanor just changed. He went, holy crap, woman, hurry up. There's something coming. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you're going out and about and you're coming near a being kind of thing, how early do the dogs, for example, how do they start kind of sensing it, 50 foot beforehand, or like a fair distance, or only when they get close to the beings?
Because I'm only out and about with the farm dog, I don't let the other dogs.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, because the whippets are bad on recall, and they love chasing prey. Because I'd lose them in the forest. And the poodles, would you believe, even though they're little, are ferocious hunters. So they'll go after anything that moves as well, even though their recall's better, but they're pretty bad. But
so they're not as sensitive to the danger.
No, because their instinct is fully on their prey drive. Yeah. So you'd have to. Yeah, I haven't really experienced anything. I think my cats are better at picking up entities than the dog. Although I do have one dog here, Miss Chewbacca. Yeah. Little Wookie. She's phenomenal. Her intuition is spot on. Yeah, I always know when something is not right because she will not give up. She just keeps at you and at you and at you.
I ended up, because I lost my dogs. Sorry, everyone, I'm dripping. When I lost
rest.
I'd like to. The good thing you can't see the bottom half. So now I've lost it again. I forgot where I was then. No, you've thrown me off.
Me?
Oh, you did that. Don't blame me. I'll get in the naughty corner again. I'll get kicked out.
That was funny.
So back to that atmospheric pressure, because that's just from what I have encountered and seen. So that's what my feelings on how they detect that. So Mark tends to agree.
What I was going to say.
Agree on that, I think.
For sure. When I lost my dogs, I ended up with a putty cat, and I say that kindly. I've never had a cat in my life before, and I had to teach her how to bark, because if you've got dogs and they're your warning system, and they sense stuff really well. She'll growl for me now, so I've got a verbal warning system instead of like the run around the house, like a chookie. Now she'll growl like grrr.
Interesting.
I know.
Mark, what's your favorite earthquake book? Anthony Lewis is asking.
Oh, I don't know. I've read and had the author sign it. He's the foremost expert in California regarding residential home construction and seismicity. So I've read that, but it's it's as dry as burnt toast. 2-day-old burnt toast, even drier.
Like a
Wow.
manual.
Yeah, but so that's actually the only one I've really read. I've read Ben Davison's of Suspicious Observers. I've read his book, and he talks about earthquakes, and that was actually the first website I went to do forecasting was on Ben's site called Quake Watch, but there was no activity in it. It was boring. It was really boring, and Earthquakes Down Under is exciting. There's lots of people and information zooming by, so it's a lot more exciting.
Interesting.
There's some knowledge on that site. Grizzy, when you do you take the dogs out when you go out in the woods?
No, I do not.
I don't think I would either. Not in your woods.
Too easy to lose them
Mm.
in the woods.
And Mark, how does people find you or get a hold of you if they want to?
Well, my full name is Mark Honig, Honig, and I'm on Facebook. And Honig's an unusual name. It's a German word. It means honey.
Oh,
So every so often you'll go in and you'll to a specialty grocery store and you'll see Honig all over the honey jars. So that's kind of fun. So that's really the best place to catch me. And then, of course, on Earthquakes Down Under. But I'm more than open, to talking to people about this and texting them and giving them ideas and helping other people learn to forecast, because the more forecasters, the better.
Right.
And there's several types of forecasting. I follow the Dutch Sense format, and with just a very few modifications here and there, it's very workable, very doable. Oh, and here's one thing I didn't mention about my forecasting. So I look at the big picture and see, okay, there's energy here and energy is going to go there, and kind of time out, how long it will take roughly based on if you have 2 quakes and you go, okay, it took 2 days to get that far. You kind of just duplicate that distance and you say, okay, so that'll be 4 more times. So in 8 days, it'll hit this area. That's just boring stuff.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, what makes it interesting for me is I look at the maps very closely, and that's when I bring some intuition in on it. And I go, okay, so where is it going to hit? That's the key, the hardest thing. Where is it going to hit? And I've had some forecast successes as close as 17 miles from my epicenter. I'd say, okay, this is the center. We call it a center point. And then we draw a circle around it, the radius around it. And I say 100-mile radius is what most forecasters do. I try to keep it down to 50 miles. The really big ones, you have to expand it out a little bit. So I get really intuitive at that. Think about it. Sometimes I'll come back to it a day later and let my subconscious, think about it, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so. Mark and I met years ago, Grizzy. Poor Mark's been putting up with me for years asking these questions. I guess in the end he had to come on.
I'm glad he did. And,
yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah.
And just make sure
anytime.
as well, everybody check him out. And somebody says Earthquakes Down Under page is an awesome page. And they also want to know, do they use buoys about information about earthquakes as well for we all wrap up?
Yes, buoys are used.
Buoys.
We don't know exactly what's happening. Every so often, a buoy just goes off the rails. It's bouncing all over the place. And we look around and there's no earthquake. So we don't know what that means for certain. We have good guesses at it. Buoy. Rogue wave is the best guess. I do know that buoys get hit by ships all the time. And sometimes they don't even notice them.
Yeah, how does that work?
Yeah. But I don't know of anyone that uses buoy reports to make a forecast. Like, something's going to come next. Sometimes
Oh,
you can
I
look
see.
at you can look at data and go backwards. You say, oh, this buoy, that buoy, and this buoy went off. There might have been a quake. It would have had to have been this direction in this area. So
Buoy.
yeah, buoy, Bowie,
Buoy. We call them
buoy?
boys.
boys.
Yeah, we call them boys.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Or unless I'm mistaken and I'm calling it a totally incorrect
With
name.
you, I have no idea anymore.
Yeah.
She just made that up.
All done.
I'm just going to call them water boys, little boys, big boys.
No, I can't say that because I'm known as the queen of the boys. Because I keep spotting all these wobbling boys. I just call them wobblers. And but because I don't sleep much, I seem to pick them up in the middle of the night. So, and I'm bored out of my mind. You can
Pick
imagine.
what up?
I
Hold
know.
up. What are you picking up?
Boys.
Yeah.
Wobblies.
Is that a cougar?
Oh,
No,
my
it's not a cougar,
Lord.
is it? Yes, it's a cougar. The other day I called it a panther. I had it. You know me. But it
Ladies
was
and gentlemen, make sure and reach out to Mark. And if you
Yes.
see somebody that looks like Cath driving around in the middle of the night, run like hell.
And I
Yeah.
apologize for any
Take off.
PTSD I may
Do
give
not
you.
accept candy from her. But,
Thank you,
but
Mark.
no,
That was
Mark,
very
thank you for
interesting.
coming on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
Grizzly, thank you. And
Yeah.
Cath and Michelle,
Thank you so
thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to
And-
sort of.
Yeah, if you're game enough, please come back.
Yeah, oh, I am totally. I'm really disappointed that I spent a couple of days getting all my
I
equipment set
know.
up, and it just flopped on the first try.
Never mind. We
It
all have
happens.
troubles at
Yeah, it
first.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely have you back and everything. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule. And because I learned a few things tonight
Oh,
from Mark,
good.
not Cath.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Michelle.
Well, don't flip flop on your ideas.
Look, you got him saying it now.
He's
But
one of the
from-
gang now.
From coast to coast around the world, everybody. Y'all have a good night. See
Bye,
you,
Good
everyone.
night, everyone.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having us.
Michelle. Thanks, Cat Mark.
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No, we're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!